Welcome. Good morning, Billy. Thank you for showing up. And hello. And Rodrigo, how are you today? How are both of you? Oh, you're from Sao Paulo City in Brazil. Welcome. Glad to see you today. So today we're gonna work on the hand plane a little bit. Look at that. Rodrigo is the #1 chatter in here right now. I appreciate it. Salute to Brazil. And today okay. We have this plane. This is the Stanley Handyman 1940-ish, 50-ish, made in USA. Very similar to the Stanley #4 made in England. That's what this one is, which is almost identical to the Stanley made in the US that I also have. The difference is this is just a little less refined, but it's real close. And things that, like this one has the wooden tote and knob. This one has plastic tote, plastic knob. This one's got this kind of blue coating on it, which I like. And this one, it's got black and it's a little bit more refined, but this can be. So I have faith in it. But the problem is that the chip breaker and the blade did not match up absolutely perfect, and that gathers shavings and does the opposite of what you'd like for a planer to do. Today we're going to try to remedy that by flattening both the chip breaker and the blade, and we may have to rework the edge of the blade because it's just not consistent across here. Maybe at the tip, but I don't like those bellies in it. So that may have something to do with it. We don't want chatter, we want consistency. So we're gonna work on that. CC says, I thought that was Melvin in the back for a minute. I don't remember what exactly that means. But you could be. That's me in the back. So I should probably put some gray in that beard on that thing to make it more realistic, right? Otherwise, pretty spot on. All right. But today we're here to flatten. Sir, you are a carpenter. I am a carpenter. Yep. How are you, sir? What do you do? I'm going to set a couple of these things aside, sort of get my station together, because to flatten this chip breaker and this plane blade, we are going to have some extremely flat surface, some extremely rough sandpaper, and maybe even add some power toolage to that. Don't know yet. We'll see. Shout outs to anybody come through. I thank you and I appreciate you. Hey, good morning, Heather. How are you today? Good morning, good morning. Thanks for coming in. I am going to repair this blade. Look at this was from the last time I did automotive stuff. This rust stains that stay forever. I am also having to sit and wait while my wonderful truck that I love with all my heart. I need brakes, and I'm weirdly afraid of doing my own brakes. I had a cousin that did his own brakes to his dream car. Did something wrong. He skipped a step on accident. Destroyed that car when it rolled out of his garage, folding the doors backwards, and then barreling backwards down his driveway into his across the street neighbor's yard until he realized to pull the emergency brake, which spun him around in a backwards donut in his neighbor's, and he ruined his relationship with his neighbor, ruined his dream car, all in one swoop. And that's why I'm scared of brakes. All right, there we go. However, my wonderful mechanic that I love with all my heart is not available yet, understandably so, but he's gonna have to come a little bit later. He's gonna call me, let me know. When he does that, I'll salute to you guys, and then I will go handle that. But in the meantime, that leaves me stuck, not working, so I might as well be woodworking. Rodrigo says, I like the necklace. I appreciate it. Thank you, thank you. Mr. says, morning, and I've scared Heather away from doing her breaks. I don't know what it is. I don't know. It just freaked me out when I saw it. What's wild is, this is how old I am. It was a 1995 Acura Legend. This happened in 1998. Fast forward to 2005, I bought my first Acura Legend, and it was my favorite car ever. Thank you, Rodrigo says he likes my necklace. I appreciate that. I get so distracted. Y'all feel free to push me back in the right direction if I get to yapping. Somebody told me I talked too much yesterday. All right, let's see. I'm going to put this over here to the side. It'll be in front of me, but a little bit away from you as inspiration to myself. You know? What to do to make me a nice flat surface. Let's first get rid of this, which is a great non-stick surface. These are just sample boards of LVP that I have because I always have to get samples for clients. And I'll just use them on top of this thing, and it'll make a stick-proof surface for most everything. But also, get off of there, you. But also, it's free and easy to move. Now, speaking of flat surfaces, you know what we're about to do. Now, here's where it gets tricky, I guess, because I've got two of these countertop surfaces. They're both detachable, and I think I'm going to need to do that right now. Let's dash forward and view all over a little bit. Sorry if this view is a little precarious. I wonder if I use the right word. Precarious, you know? I start to feel like El Guapo. El Guapo, would you say I have a letra? That is an ancient movie. It's a classic. And it is one of my faves. Okay, so we're good. We'll pull our camera off. set that to the side. Heavy stuff sounds. And you'll see here in a minute while I'm swapping these out. This is a smaller one. A little bit of a tilt on it so that you all can get a little better view. And it's also got a port for this phone. So you see right there, this one allows me to sand. And it's got like this. Let me show you better. Sorry. This one is cut to the exact width that it takes to put one or more of these on, and then they're held stationary while I do sharpening and things like that. So that's what's happening there. Just so you see. Really, I'm just kind of flexing my little diamond bench. That's really what's happening. But I gotta be honest about it, man. Let me find a better place to sit. Thanks for hanging out while I'm bumbling about. How many years in this profession? When you say this profession, what I'm doing now, right now, I am like a year. Well, really not even a year. Probably more like 8-9 months. YouTube channel and woodworking. My channel's old, but I never did anything. It was just so I could watch videos and stuff. And now I'm a channel, and I'll show you what I'm doing. But now I'm a channel, and because of the channel, I do more stuff. But I've been a carpenter for 32, 34 years, in one form or another. A fake woodworker for like a tiny fraction of the time. I'm sorry, I'm really trying to get this camera used good for you. It's been a day of nonsense already. Mr. says, I keep an 18-inch marble tile for drafting small glue-up products, but I got a big MDF jigs to build my bolt holes squared up 100%. Oh, wow. Wow, bolt holes? That's amazing, man. I'm glad to have you here. I should definitely try to pick your brain about what I'm be doing with my next boat. I kind of want to low-key build a boat, if I'm being honest with you. All right, our main problem is this thing ain't flat. It's close, but it's got a bow in it this way. And because it's got that bow in it, I've seen people put these down and then strike them with something. That scares the bejesus out of me, so I don't want to do that. But if anybody here suggested has experience with that, I'd love to hear it. Otherwise, what I am going to do, I tried to bend it yesterday. I don't know if I made progress at all because there's still light in between. But otherwise, I'm going to put this on the surface, on these heavy grits, and work it down. Uh, and also, yeah, Mister, I have a tile. I'll show you real quick. I got time. Now, these. I used oil, and I think it was Calvin who was just telling me the other day. This is a 24 by 12, maybe by 13 or something. Porcelain tile, which are relatively flat for what we're doing. And here are two belt stands. Hey, choking. Okay. All right, I'm done passing away. Two belt sander sluts, just like what I just had, and I had them glued down or taped down to this. It worked really well, except for I opted to go with oil, and oil gunked these up so bad that I don't really want to do that now. I want to go with water and see how that goes, because these can definitely handle it, but water I think is what I'm after here. I'm going to drill another hole in this counter so that I can aim this camera better at this work. Otherwise, I don't know how you see what I'm trying to do. I've been burning this bed up, though. I've been drilling it, these holes and everything. And that one, you get a favorite size, you know what I'm saying, or a useful size, and then it's just a problem. Man. Oh my God, really important thing here. We need to learn a lesson. I just don't know what it would be. Just life sucks today. Do have, hopefully I don't have all of my DeWalt stuff at the job. Not at all. I get so many telemarketing calls. You wouldn't believe it. Maybe you would. Maybe you're running 20, 30 calls a day. So yeah, I've got a total of about 9 drills of various types. I don't have one here that's got both a drill and the battery for this bit. Maybe I should just start punching stuff. Feel better. Let's do some punching and kicking. All right, enough of that. Let's get to this work. This tape right here, pick y'all up right there, and I'm gonna let you sit right here. I'm gonna start over here with the head. Oh, I need to put another little wedge in here. A little bit tighter. I don't think I need much. Maybe a little popsicle stick will do it. Why not add a little water? I'm getting a cold. What up, Mike? You whining about that? What all men whine about? The woman they chose is breaking my heart. In this case, not my wife, but my 95 Chevy. And you can see we're getting a pretty consistently roughage up around that edge, and that's good. That's what we want. That's what we want to be happening. I'm not going to give it too much more of that. I'm going to jump over to the other grid. It looks like it's working. But I will almost always overdo stuff. So, I will continue in my tradition. Know thyself, people. Alright, Mike, don't be calling my old truck a heifer. Now she's when we put her back together the last time, or my mechanic put her back together the last time, he didn't align my fan up exactly perfect, so now there's a fluttering as the fan blades make contact very lightly with something. My truck is already fairly loud. But this adds a sound of raggediness to the loudness that normally would be the purr of a V8 humming in the highway. And in this particular case, me not addressing that sound didn't let me hear when my brakes began to let me know that they were about to go. So now, I got rotor issues, and we know how that goes. I'm not a mechanic. I can say it 100 times a day. And I don't particularly like doing mechanic work. But I am capable. I have hands, and I got a half a brain. That's half of what the mechanics actually need. So, along with YouTube, I try to supplement. Nonetheless, I got to put brakes on my truck for the very first time ever because I cannot take another couple of days off while I wait on the mechanic. So either I'm going to figure out how to do it if he doesn't call me back and say, hey, I'm on the way at some point today. But you know how that goes. If it ain't first it's the pads. If you don't do that fast enough, it's the rotors. If you don't do that fast enough, it's the calipers. If you don't do that fast enough, it's the whole vehicle and maybe somebody else's. So so I know when to say I was a DJ in high school. Did you know that? Maybe that's where I got my fast hands from. All right, we got some wear. We've been doing something. So let's see. We can see that we got a belly right there. Now, hopefully, what we don't have is a belly up there. I have to do that with this, with the light. I'm gonna put you right there so you can potentially see it too. Definitely better. Definitely better, but definitely not done. Mike says, you know me. We can knock that out in just a few. You know me. Poverty made me know it all. Hey, brother. You ain't by yourself, Coy. So we're going to do some more flattening. Because this is working. And if you want to move to another piece on the paper, you can just rotate it. Let our DJ hands do all the work. All right. El agua. There you go. Let's check again for square. We shouldn't have bothered square at all. Yeah, so we're good. Now let's see if we're good this way though. We're getting really, really better. Once we get like a mirror finish on that, we'll be able to see it even better. So, accomplished goal here. In terms of getting to that, we might as well move on to the stones. Bring me the stones. All right, y'all look at me while I'm getting the stones. We can go get some water on the stones. My cousins are very near to the apartments. That's one of the two said, hey, just come stay here, cuz. Meanwhile, you can do some, give me some help in the basement. And I spent about 3 weeks there at my cousin's, working on his basement, and he's kind of generally hanging out. And he was a stockbroker. He was just a few years older than me. Well, not a few. He was probably 10 years older than me. But he was like one of my older cousins, and it was amazing that he was already a grown-up, right? I was like 23, 24, something like that. No, 25, 26. Anyways, he was like in his 30s. His life was settled. He was a stockbroker. He was making great money. He had his dream car, which was also my dream car. A 1996 Acura Legend. 4-door with what we used to call peanut butter leather interior on an all white car with like a limousine black tint on it. Amazing looking car. So I'm going to store these stones underneath my desk right here. Got a little hole right here that whenever anything runs, it'll run there. It'll collect in that same pan that I'm pulling these stones from. And then that way we'll stay copacetic. I know I might need my honing guide because I might have to work the front of this blade too. And if I do that, I'll definitely need it. I'm not good enough for it. Honing guide, if we need it. Should have got the 97 Integra. I've had a 97 Integra. I've had a 96 Acura Legend, 4-door white, same one my cousin had. That crashed it because of the brakes. And I've had a 94, I think it was, Acura Vigor. A lot of people haven't even heard of the Vigor. But I had the Integra. I had the Integra that had the first generation. It had the round headlights. I wanted the square ones, but you get what you get. But I found a good deal on it. I bought it. I gave that car away so that a girl would leave. I was dating a girl, and she had a pretty rough scenario that she was kind of, met me coming out of, and it was rough, and I liked her a lot, so I kind of invited her away from her situation to come be in mine, and it didn't take me too long to realize that she was the problem in her last situation, and there was some drug use and everything, I found out. So anyways, long story short, I gave her that car so that she would leave. I said, if I give you this car, will you leave today? And she was like, yes. And I wrote the title over to her right then. I had owned that car for about 6 months. I just bought it. Hey Matthew, how you doing? How you doing? We're just in here talking about how I'm not a mechanic. I'm just running that dead flat. I'm just keeping it right there. And I can tell that it leaves a little hollow behind. I'm putting some pressure kind of on the front of this thing so that I can get it a little more integrated. I'm never thinking about flattening the back of these things like they go off quite this much. But this is the first one I've had off with this much. But I think I'm going to go through the paces of getting the blade sharp again too on the front side of this thing. But first, the back. Let me get the light creeping in. We don't like that. I'm going to set this stone back down in the water because it hasn't been in there very long. So it's important that I keep it saturated as I Mister says, I think I need that roller chisel sharpener. Dude, they are everywhere. It's called a honing guide. And you can find them all over Amazon. You can find them all over. I got this one from Temu probably, I don't know how many months ago, maybe 6, 8 months ago. You can literally look on my shorts videos, and it's there. I did a whole thing on it. I might have it in my tool review queue down in the playlists. I did a couple of those for you guys because I'm such a good father. No, 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 no. I'm kind of thinking maybe I don't know if this is wise or not. So if somebody is in the building who would like to clue me in, here's a question. Would it make a difference if I were to work both of these surfaces at the same time? Meaning, I put it on this tilt, I work the front on the heavy grit, and then I work the flat back on the heavy grit, and then I move up in grit until I get to the end. Or do I do one side in full and then come back and do the other side in full? I'll sit this here while we contemplate this. Sunroof and the 6-disc in the console. Absolutely, Mike. Wasn't that thing clunky? It was just right there in the way. In my TT, it's in the back seat. It's in the back. It's behind the driver's seat on that seat, like in what would be an armrest if a whole size person could fit in there. Robert G says, is the back flat? Mike says, I usually do the back first. No, the whole problem with this one is that the back, in fact, was not flat. I got a little cupping in it. It's very slight, but it's enough to push all sorts of shavings up in there. So I've been working the back. I've gotten the 80 grit. I went up to the 120 grit, I think this is. And now I'm on the stones at 400 grit. Mister says, I don't know. I assumed you don't touch the flat side. Oh yeah, you got it. Otherwise it won't be the flat side. And I think my assumption are the same because I haven't had a problem. This type of problem with the other 5 planes I have. These all happen to be almost the same plane over and over again by different time periods and manufacturers, but none of them have had this issue. And they've all needed restoration. Every single one of them I've had to do restoration on. This is a 400, like I said. I'm going to just go ahead and work the back then, all the way through. And then I'll come back and work that bevel. Put that back in the box. I need it flat. You can see how it's wearing, that it ain't flat. And now my understanding is that we only really genuinely care about the first ½ inch or so of this flatness, but you know, the better the better. Rob says do the back till it's flat. Gotcha. Mister says the rock man got him. Matthew says I have an old plane that has chips in it. How do I go about getting those out so I can get to the point of sharpening? Regrind, absolutely. Now, there's a couple of ways that I've done this. I have had that problem on at least 3 of my planes blades, and this may be one of them because I did rework this one. So what you have to do, how I go about it, my way, that makes people nervous some, but I've seen it done this way. It worked great. It worked great for me. I take the blade, I I take a marker and I go right across the top of it. And then I take a file, I lock it in the vise, and I take a file and I go straight across, well, kind of at an angle, but I want it to be flat, right? And I do that one time, two times, three times. You look down it, and you're gonna see exactly where that ding is. And then you just keep working down until that's a straight surface instead of a broken surface. And then once you got that, you make sure you keep it square, and you adjust as you go with the files. And some people, if you got a bench grinder, you can probably do that a little bit easier. It's just, you're probably going to want to build a rig for it because it's a weird, it's kind of a weird angle to try to hold on your own. But once you get a honing guide, all you got to do is make sure the tip of that thing is flat and square after you have ground down beyond the chips. And the honing guide will let you get that angle back. And I'll show you in a second, once I get done with the flat side, how to set that. And then we'll do that, a very similar process here. It won't be quite as aggressive as what you'll need to do, but it'll still work. Talking about blasts from the past, my best friend rocked an L-Dog for so long. I would love that car now. I found out Tornado, but that was like an L-Dog continuum. That's funny. What is that, like the Brat? I remember they had those Brats. Those were not cool cars. When you say L-Dog, you talking about an Eldorado? Or you talking about El Camino? Some people will call it El Camino or L-Dog too. But I used to love the Eldorado. The only reason I haven't bought one is because I was afraid it would make me look like an old man way too early. But I really like them. Yeah, Eldorado. Eldorado was like a freaking Miata for senior citizens. Like the two longest doors in the history of automotive. My TT has an incredibly long, heavy doors on it. It's weird. It's kind of unexpected. I don't think I need to take this beyond 1,000 grit, the flattening for the back side of this thing. I'm going to test it after I make a couple runs this way, and then we'll see. But as I'm watching the water movement, I don't know if y'all can see this, on top of the surface here, I'm noticing that I'm not getting the same kind of hollow in the middle that I was getting earlier. So I think we're getting very close to flat on the tip of this blade. And that's what we want. And I think we're going to call it right there, because once we start to sharpen the bevel and polish this blade, we're going to flip over and have to knock the little, I always lose that word, the little metal shaving off of the back side. I'll find that word in a second, and I'll blurt it out in years. But anyways, let's go ahead and get to setting up the honing guide. Burr, exactly, Robert, thank you. See, I tell y'all all the time, I really am appreciative of my chat. I am in here learning as much as anybody else. I'm probably learning a lot more than the people who regular this channel, because I get a lot of really good help in here from people who actually know. Okay, here's what I'm doing first. Now, this thing has the option of You can lock the blade in here in between these two grooves. You can lock the blade in here between these two grooves. You can lock the blade down here on top of these two, right, those supports. That's probably the least desirable according to the manufacturer. And on a better one, I probably would trust this and trust this. But with the wider, with a chisel, they kind of force this thing in the square because of the angle on that. But that doesn't happen with the chip breaker. It'll slip and tilt. And so if I put it down here flat on these rails, it doesn't slip, it won't tilt. And I can trust that, because what I don't want to do is to be sharpening my blade a little bit askew and end up with a parallelogram or something worse. So first I'm gonna just hand tighten this little screw to hold it near where I think. And then I'm going to set it down right on top of that. Now, I don't know if you can see this or not. I'm hoping that you can. But you see how I can see that shadow right there? That's what you don't want. If it's flat, it's flat. You see how that went away? Now, you can go too far and that'll stay away, but that ain't what you want. So I'll look to the side, and if I can get this right, I may not be able to, but you can see where the contact points are. You want the contact to happen that entire bevel. And what I find easy to do is if I just loosen it a little bit and I push it, I put it right there, right? And it's up, it's too far. And I'll just keep scooting this until, now on the other side of you can't see it, I've got a light. So that light's shining and it lets me know exactly what the distance is, or the space is between these two, for me. And I just keep wiggling this thing until it gets dead flat, and then I tighten it, and that's it. And make sure it's flat in there, in the cradle. Once I know it is, I will tighten this a little bit by hand. It's always good. A lever cap will do that, but you could also use a flathead screwdriver, obviously. All right, now I'm where I want to be. I know I got the angle I want. Let's test it and check it. It'll only take a couple of passes and we'll see. It always sounds rough at first, don't worry. Okay, calming down a little bit. And then we just check and see how far we're hitting. We're hitting right on that tip and right across the front, so that's good. I'm gonna just work that for a while. In fact, I'm gonna go work this over here on the heavy grit stuff, because I do want to flatten and knock that bevel back perfect. Put that there so you can see. I'm missing the chat. Sorry. Well, younger kids wanted Monte Carlos and cutlasses. I had a Monte Carlo. Cutlasses and Regals, they thought L dogs were too yeah. Mr. says, I wanted a dang Tacoma forever, one of these days. Oh yeah, Tacoma is a good looking truck too. That's what I do like about them. It's a good performance thing, and it's like they overbuild them. What they didn't know was that Unc didn't want an L dog. He wanted a silent black DeVille with the spare mount. I hear you, Mike. Mr. says, I got a sharpened 4" inch on both sides, a 90-degree angle, chisels and grinders, and for 1/8" scale RC unlimited hydroplane racing boat. Whew. That's a mouthful. Holy smokes. Alright, we're going to scoot over here a little bit. We might as well run the gambit, man. We're going to start over here. I know you didn't come here for that. You didn't expect to have to deal with that. I know. But I'm going to do that until I get this whole surface the same. Popsicle stick getting in my way a little bit. Take my paper. A little splish splash of agua. I don't think I want to use that part with the hump in it. I don't want a hump. Let's find a flat space or relatively small. There we go. Oh, it sounds awful. I know it. Little shipbreaker over there singing a song of sadness. And what I'm looking for is the same wear across, top to bottom. From the top of that bevel to the bottom of that bevel, I want wear along there. Otherwise, I'm leaving a dip, I'm leaving a bow, I'm leaving blah, blah, blah. You really only need to worry about the first half. I'm going to go the whole way, though. I want it right and not have to compromise. Make it easier later. And why not? We're here. We set up. We spend a few more minutes to get good. Getting real close. Pretty close. Now that we got that, that was 80 grit sandpaper, and then I bumped up to 60, and then I went up to, I think this is 120 grit, somewhere in there. It could be 100 grit, but that's fine too. And then my lowest grit whetstone is a 400 grit. I find the set to be all I need so far to get the quality sharpening that I want. And now I'm on it. It's been soaking in water this whole time. And as I push, I want to see some water moving on top of that stone. That way I know it's wet enough. And it's moving those little particles that it's shaving off away from the blade. You don't want to grind those back into your tip. You won't ever get sharp. So now I'm pressing just with my fingers, the tip of this down. See how it's top heavy? Just to hold that down. I've got my thumbs around the back here, pressing. But I'm not putting a lot of weight down on it. I'm just holding it down enough to stay planted while I push. Now, occasionally a little hack is I'll put my fingers down here to kind of barely drag the side of that stone, and I'll do it with my fingernails because my fingernails are a little bit stronger than average for whatever reason, and it doesn't grind them down. And that'll help me keep a nice mechanical movement and stay in the same place on the stone. And if you see right on the edge, you'll see this material, that little bit of material right here. That's what's coming off, the black. That's what's coming. Those are shavings off of the blade there. 400 again. We're going to take a look at what we got. Showing up pretty good. We're just going to keep working that edge. It's just kind of pushing back. And we're going to flip over to the 1000 grit, which is on the other side of this thing. This is the Amazon Basics setup. I appreciate your likes up there in the corners, your subscribes, and whatever else you decide to do. Even if you decide to click and tap that little heart thing 1,000 times, I love that too. But you can just tap that screen twice and give me a like that easily. I don't have a set amount of time or numbers. I just keep watching that blade tip, and it gets a little better and a little better every time, a little shinier every time. And then I'll clean off. I'll address that burr on the back. I've seen knife sharpening guys go with maybe 30, 40 passes when they do stuff with the whetstones. That might be an appropriate count, depending on how, if you're doing maintenance or you're doing repair. And again, we're going to hit that burr on the back. Get it off of there. You'll feel it come off. Again, keep the back of that chisel dead flat. We're going to bump up now to the 3000 grit. I've been live a lot during the day because of this crazy weather we've been having in Georgia, interfering with work. And I've had a weirdly frequent catastrophic brakes on my truck that don't allow me to move it until the repair's done. So I've been home a lot more than I'm used to being home and in the shop during the day. I say all that to say that a couple people who also do lives during the day would be Dad's Workshop. And It's run by my buddy Calvin and Miss Heather. I don't know if they're still in the chat, but if they are, you could post a link if you like, because I'm not always here during the day, and Calvin is pretty consistently on these days. Good chance you can catch him if you're subscribed. Doing a lot of cool stuff over there. A lot of cool stuff. I don't know if Mike, if you're on generally speaking during the day, but if you are, you could post your link as well. Mike is making stuff. He had a question featured on Adam Savage's channel, tested about 4 days ago. I was joking on Dad's channel that it's like watching my cousin on the evening news, getting his big break. Mike's a good channel over there. Mike was doing several projects at once as well, so no way to get bored over there. Mike, how's the carving doing? Mike has a huge log that he was going to carve a scene into. Haven't seen it in a couple days. I'm just curious, how's that going? What up, Plywood? How you doing? Good day to you. Good day to you. Love to see Plywood pull up in the chat. Good friend of the channel. Good friend of the squad. Y'all should consider memberships. I'm going to do a lot of exclusive membership videos soon, and lives, just so that we can work on some stuff. I'll continue to talk with anybody in my chat and subscribe for sure, but interestingly enough, the algorithm seems to prefer me not talking, doing certain kind of work, this being one of them. It's weird. I guess because I don't have a lot of long content videos out there, but I didn't want to do anything instructional until I was already good at this. This is now 8,000 grit that we're on. I was wondering if I had a hollow there. Watch this. Let me clear this up. With this white stone, you can really get a good idea of what's kind of going on with your blade because of the path of the debris. See what's starting to happen? Those two little lines there. Where it's dark is where I'm making the most contact. Where it's white, I might not be making any contact. Stone itself, though, could be out of flat. If that's the case, use this. Again, this is maybe a $20, $30 set. $30 set maybe for me. It's not sponsored, but I always do that. Nick my finger and it feels like something sharp just stabs you when it's driven. Just to the corner unexpectedly. Alright, now we're dead flat. So if we have a pit, We know it's the blade, not the sharp. I get a little bit of that, but not nearly as severe as before, so an indicator that maybe the stone had gotten worked into the shape or something. Plywood up to no good. Yeah. Again, that's the 8,000 grit right there on the white. Hit the back and flatten that out, or clean it up. And notice the back side, I'm not going super far. I'm holding this back end up with my hand to support. I'm pushing this end down so that it stays flat to that surface. And I don't need to do a lot. I just need to make sure that it's laying flat. And that'll get rid of that burr. And that'll do something for the back side of that thing in terms of flatness. Now, I'm going to put the stones away. My trusty tray. Don't let your wives see this, fellas. I'll get in trouble. And I'm going to clean that off a little bit. Now, we're going to strop this thing. Loosen that, because we don't need the honing guide anymore. We have not technically tested this with level and flat. That little surface rush you get when you're doing it with water. Put a little WD-40 on it afterwards. We dry it off, spray that. It'll help. In the meantime, let's get our strop. Oh, put it in a different place. Let's see. We got it over here already. Ta-da! Dry my blade off a little bit. There is a rougher side and a smoother side, finer side maybe, to the strap. So I generally start with the white wax on the rough side. And basically I'm just coloring wax onto this thing. Now, you don't want to use a honing guide on a strop. You really only want to go one way. But I usually start with the back side because that's how I am. I don't think it matters. Pull that. Put some more on there. I'm putting this on here to rub it onto this surface, so don't be shy. You just kind of have to find the angle, and then me, it feels like when I feel it drag just a little bit, I know that's it. You hear that? But just a little bit. I'll adjust that angle until I hear that, and once I do, that's kind of where I stay. I'm also leaving my finger on the side of this blade so it can drag along the side here, and I can maintain that angle. But I've got a little bit of a turn in my approach because I also want the full blade on that surface. You know what I'm saying? So I'm doing that. try to do it this way. Seems a little more difficult to me. Trying to keep it dead straight on there. Because you can land your finger in the same exact place every time. A lot easier than you can land that blade in the same place every time. Just how the mechanics of the human body work. Alright, so now when we look at it and we see we got a consistently shiny surface across the top of that blade, that makes us happy. That means we got a chance. Same as the back, we got a chance. Now, another thing we're going to do here is put on the emulsion that was given to us from my good friends at Cutting Lace EDC. Spray it right here. I'm going to do the back first because I just do that. I don't know. I'm going to go about 20 strokes. Squirt. Then I'm gonna, same thing as before, same technique. I like it right here because it's a little flatter. All right, moment of truth. That is usually my full routine. If they're good, they should be good now. If that bow isn't gone, God help us all. Where is my screw? Ooh. Oh no. I'm sure I just casually set it down somewhere. Like, oh, I'll just move this. Alright, here we go. Little screw that holds the chip breaker to the blade goes in that way. So you can slide them together that way. Here's the rest of our tool. I like to leave just barely a little line where the blade is protruding beyond the chip breaker, just barely. And then when I feel like I've gotten that, then I'll tighten that screw and marry the two with the lever cap. And we can put that on chip breaker up. If it's seated properly, this should move it. cap with the button up. Set it over that screw. Push it down till it's at the top of the bean. And it should lock in that easily. Sometimes if you have to tighten that screw a little bit as they get older, but for the most part you shouldn't. This looks good. Again, this particular one is not as refined. I think the mouth is a little bit wider too than the others, but that looks good right there to me. We'll back it off a little bit till the blade is recessed completely, and then we'll find some wood to shave. Okay. And we're going to do that in a vise, I'm sure. So let's go ahead and break this back down and put these things away for now. Ugly. Let's do that. That's the other side. No contact. The blade is not engaged at all yet. Turn that knob a little bit. Didn't do it. A little bit more. A little bit more. This one's a little sloppy for a while, and then once you feel it engage, you'll know it gets a little stiffer. It means we're getting closer. And now we're just barely turning, right? So now I'm getting shavings on this side just a little bit, so I'm gonna make a little adjustment. Now I'll show you this real fast. Look at what happened, right? It went from just getting a shaving over there to getting it right down in the middle, so we're getting close. But that also may mean we have a dip. This is a very narrow ribbon. I just barely engaged that wood, so it's hard to say just yet, but let's see. Thin, it is split, but I think that was the wood because it came out solid at the end of the cut. Let's do some more. We are getting really thin shavings, and that's good, but can't forget what this thing was doing. I'm going to adjust a little bit more. See how it's grabbing it? And that sounds bad. That's the opposite sound that we want to hear. A sneaky suspicion our bow ain't gone. Here's the evidence. That's what happens. So now, what that means is instead of sliding across a chip breaker, everything's jamming in between. Still not good. And check these again to the light. See if I can see what the heck happened. What I didn't do when I assembled this, which is what you should always do, is check that in between for the light like we started with. But I didn't, because I'm a dummy. And when I'm looking at it now through, I see a little sliver of light through there. Gosh. But right now, I think that's the chip breaker. I think on this chip breaker, I'm a little bit high. Right over on this side. Oh. I'm going to mark it. I'm going to loosen this. Separate these two. And I am going to give it a bump. Scares me too. Tighten again. And look again. All right. So now we're going to do a set our table back up. Flatten the chip breaker. I just can't skip the steps, man. Can't skip the steps. That's exactly right, Robert. Mr. Robert says we need to hone that chip breaker edge. That's exactly right. For that task, we'll go ahead and take the set screw out. Ooh, sorry, y'all. My ear was itching. Back over here to this paper. Good place to sit. While that happens. Same scenario we had before. Get this thing flat and work it flatter. And this is going to take a little bit of effort too. And that's where we want to start getting to, a solid flat line across the front of that. mosquito just came and landed on top of my face. No disrespect. Work that edge flat as possible. Now, we're going to grab those stones again. At least we're going to go with the 400 so that we can start flattening that edge. We may not need to go much further than that, but I would say we need to do at least that. And now we can get back to our sharpening positions. So the flatten the very edge of that. Plywood says, now everyone else knows not to skip any of the process of sharpening this blade. This is absolutely facts, Plywood. We'll do it twice. My old boss used to say, you don't have time to do it right the first time. Imagine what time it's going to take to do it again for free. He was right. We accidentally got a little accidental demonstration just now. It looks like I just sliced that shop rag in half. I am a little aggressive with this right now. 400 grit. I want this thing flat, real bad. Might as well jump up to the 1,000 grit since we're here. We got the stone already. All right, we got something. Get this off of here and patiently put it right back together because I really want to call this mechanic and see what he's doing, see if he's coming. Because I really, really don't want to work on my own truck. But I can't have excuses. I mean, I'm a do-it-yourself channel. Like, what else am I if I'm not that? Tell me. Could be a safe dad space. Could call myself that. All right, I got a really tight little line going across here. I'm gonna tighten this up. And then I'm gonna take a look through there and see if I'm matched up yet. Oh man, So can't tell if I'm looking at a light reflection. I think that's a reflection. I can't see through it. So I think we're good. Because that's the goal, is to not be able to see light between these two. You have to look through there and hold it at an angle on both sides. And if you don't see light between where these two meet, you're supposed to be good. Some of our water. We'll set up the same way as we did before. Set that on there. Lock it in. Latch the bean. Ugh. Now, I did back that screw out so that we'd be back to 0. I'm going to set this down. Take this back off again. Add a little piece of lumber. And we'll have a fun little knot on the end to beat us up. Let's see. When we slide, and each time we do, we advance that blade down a little bit until something makes contact. Ooh, right on the knot. That's a challenge immediately. Hearing a weird little click sound. I don't know what that is. That is us immediately jamming again. What the what? I wonder what other causes could be there. Sincerely saw no light. Maybe I'm too close to the edge. I've heard of that. Because the shavings are just sliding in between. Maybe my frog needs to go closer forward. Not 100% sure. But we're going to find this out together. I'm going to do both things. I'm going to slide that frog forward a little bit, close the mouth, just a hair. I will need a screwdriver for that, though. Give me a quick second. Here's what we got. Frog up. Push it forward. Smidge it. Because one of the things about this was not as inexpensive a tool, so it's not as refined of a tool. And generally, when a tool is not very refined, but it works, it means that you have to be the refining part. Changing something that could have been built in, but it would have cost money, or you do it, it'll just cost you time. That's often a compromise to consider when buying hand tools that are somewhat discounted. And generally speaking, I'm usually okay with that sacrifice. Now, I usually want that frog to line up dead flat with the bevel on the back of the mouth. but that's where I was. I'm getting this, so I'm gonna go a little bit tighter just to push that plug a little bit more forward. Make sure everything's nice and snug. Another adjustment I'm gonna make is maybe giving myself a little bit more lip over the chip breaker. See if that helps not jam stuff in there so tight. Tighten that up again with the lever cap, because that makes me feel like I'm a professional. Drop that on, and again, once this is grabbing and it'll adjust that blade, you know you're in the right place. Right? Drop down your cap, lock in that bean. I'm gonna put a little more pressure. I'm gonna just do a little, maybe a 1/16 of a turn, just to put a little more pressure on the front of that blade, just in case that has anything to do with what's going on. You see how much further that blade came out? I'm gonna recess that back. Still ain't far enough back. And I'm gonna adjust the mouth so the angle, so that's even. All right, now we're not touching. We advance the blade. Once more, once more, once more, once more, once more. Feel a little tension starting. When I advance, I just do that. That's it. One of those. Ugh. That's not even probably 1/8 of a turn. Because once you get there, you're only going to want to barely be there. All right, now we're doing a little shaving. Starting out. I'm going to stay right there for a second. I pulled off a couple of shavings. Hopefully they'll keep coming out of the actual tool instead of into the tool. That's a nice shaving. Looks like what we did worked. That is about as consistent as you can get, and that's about as thin as you can get. Let's see through. And it's airy, floats. So perfect. Let's see what our surface can get like. I don't want to count our chickens too fast, you know. Still got that knot on the end of our pass every time. Let's see how the chip right now. The shavings are great. The surface is fantastic. Let's open it up again. See if we're trapping anything. Just a little bit, but other than that, no. Nothing inside of there. Good to go. We'll call that success. And that is about the biggest fixable problem that you can have with a chip breaker and blade, aside from just the extra that you'd have to do if you had a big chip dinged out of it. But other than that, that is pretty close to the same procedure. Go ahead and go back. can see through it. I'm happy with those results. And if you watch this video back from the beginning, you can learn how I made that happen after we made all that debris and crust that was getting jammed up in here. I'll probably retitle this video just so that somebody can see the process. It is extensive. I tried to do this on long form video a month ago and it didn't go. It just didn't. Oh, I caught that mosquito. It didn't transfer. The files broke into different types of files. It was a whole weird thing and I wasn't able to get it uploaded. I'm still very disappointed in that, but I'm glad I was able to show you here today and we were able to get some good results. That's what we're after. I'm gonna call my mechanic and I'm gonna cry a little bit. And I'll either be out there watching him work or maybe you'll be out there watching me work. But I'm gonna get out of here. I appreciate y'all hanging out. I appreciate y'all in the chat. I appreciate everybody's everybody's subscription. I don't know how many I got. I can't quite see it myself. But I'll know after I get off. And if you screw me over. Alright. I'll holler back at y'all a little bit later. Hey Matthew, how you doing? Good to see you. The other Matthew. And Rob says be right back. But Rob, I'll be right back. But I'll holler back at y'all later. Peace. West does it.